Hi, Jeremy here, Modern Vitality. In today's video, we're looking at how to overcome helper syndrome. And I'm going to lead into this with something that may be a little controversial, maybe kind of offensive, and maybe a little counterintuitive, but I encourage you that if you feel resistance to this idea, to embrace that resistance and dive through with me. And when we get to the other side, maybe you'll have an expanded perspective. But the controversial statement here is that if you want to help everybody else all the time, you're being selfish. Right? This is something I had to wrap my head around. There's a paradox, right? There's always a paradox with things. And once we embrace that paradox, we can really come out the other side of it. So what's this got to do with healing from complex chronic health conditions, right? Because this channel is all about Lyme disease and fibromyalgia and mycotoxin, mold illness, right? Things like that, chronic fatigue syndrome, all these complex mystery illnesses. What's that got to do with helper syndrome? Well, most of the people I work with have had some history of wanting to take care of others, right? And wanting to help others and support others and put other people first, sometimes to their own detriment, right? Sometimes we take care of everybody else and we forget to take care of ourselves, and then that kind of adds up and then manifests as some kind of disease, right? Or part of the real tragedy of having these illnesses is that we then don't feel like we have the energy to show up for the people we want to take care of, right? We start to feel like we're letting people down. So most people I work with are very kind souls, right? Givers, people that want to take care of other people. They have really good intentions. And what I'm going to do here is start to break this helper syndrome thing down, because sometimes it gets in our own way. Sometimes we only want to help other people. We don't want to help ourselves. And the other thing is that sometimes we won't accept help from other people. Once we get that hat on, we get in that role of I'm the helper, I'm the caretaker, right? I'm the strong one. I put everybody on my shoulders and I take care of my family or my friends or whatever it is. Sometimes the downside is that we then have a hard time accepting help. So what I'm here to tell you is that that's actually extremely selfish once you dive into it. And on the other side is a path to healing. So let's get started. Probably the best way to understand this is to just do a little mind game where you reverse roles. So think of somebody you like to help, right? And how you like to assist them, or you like to guide them or share with them or take care of them or whatever it is. So I'm just going to make up an example, but let's say you've got a daughter and you like to cook food for her, right? And you like to do that. That's how you feel like you help her. Okay. Now, if you go to do that one day, and this is one of the ways you express your love for this person, right? This is one of the ways you're meeting one of your human needs. This is one of the ways that you're connecting to this person and you're giving, right? If you go to her one day and you say, "Hey, I made this food for you," and she says, "Nope, don't help me. I don't want it. I refuse it. I'm strong. I don't need your help," right? How does that feel inside to have your help rejected? Now you feel like you're cloying and sticky and on top of this person who doesn't want your help when you're just trying to express normal human caring, right? Easy enough to understand when we put ourselves in that position. Now think about all the people who want to help you. And if you're so busy being the strong one, right, and trying to do it yourself, that you resist all their efforts, you're blocking their ability to connect with you, to share with you. It's really quite interesting, because sometimes one of the most generous things we can do is actually graciously receive help. We give somebody else the gift of being able to give, right? Because giving, it's two ways. There's reciprocity happening. Even if it seems like there's one thing happening where, okay, this person is taking care of the other, right? I'm giving food to my daughter that I cooked, right? Whatever. I made up a kind of a silly example, but you use something from your own life, right? Something with more impact for you. I'm giving you this, right? And in turn, at the same time, that person is receiving it, right? You have to have both forces going for this little dance to happen. Yeah. So if that person refuses to receive it, then they're not giving you that. They're not giving you back the receiving within the reciprocity circle, right? So even though it looks like it's a one-way transaction, it actually requires both parties to be playing along, right, with the giving. So if you don't accept help from somebody else, then you're not giving them the opportunity to experience helpfulness. You're actually taking that away from them. You're blocking that. So in an effort to try to be independent, right, it's counterproductive, and we actually create problems for the people around us that are trying to help. Really interesting to think about. Where's the balance there? Now, this isn't black and white, right? Where, okay, so I can never do things for myself because Jeremy, I'm watching this guy on YouTube. He says that's selfish, right? No, find your balance, right? But just know there's two sides of it. You don't want to be extreme. We don't want to always be doing everything for ourselves. And at the same time, most people don't always want to feel like other people have to do everything for them, right? We want some level of independence, but also our ability to receive gifts, to receive help, that tightens our social bonds. right? It's a way to communicate. Interesting to think about, right? So you want to create those connections with the people around you. And sometimes that means you need to be on the receiving end of something nice. And there's no shame in that. We've got a culture that's built on this whole suffering equals value thing. And if something good happens to us, we need to feel guilty about it, or like we don't deserve it or something. No, I'm here to tell you that's old, that's outdated software. We need to evolve up and out of that. And the reason why too is because that gets into people's heads subconsciously, especially with healing. Like if you're dealing with a complex chronic health condition and you see a protocol or supplement, or you want to work with a practitioner or whatever it is, and you start to think, man, that's really good, right? Then this little invisible voice comes in and goes, well, yeah, that's good, but you need to suffer to have value. So you don't deserve the good thing. Don't even try, stay sick. Right? I'm cutting to the bone here in terms of the psychology, but I've seen it with way too many people, amazing people that would do really well on a structured healing program, right? To get themselves their life back from whatever disease they're dealing with, because we're healing a human body. We're not going after a disease specifically. We're going after the systems in the body and becoming more resilient. That path gets people their life back. But I've seen self-sabotage manifest because, and it's so ironic and it's like almost tragic, but that's why I'm doing a video about it. That's why I talk about this stuff, even if it's controversial, even if it's a taboo, even if it's kind of offensive, right? I can't change that, but when you get blocked from actually doing something good for yourself because you've associated suffering equals value, right? That it's tragic. So I would encourage you, if you're on a healing path, to just be self-aware and to just start to realize kind of when you do those things. And one of the ways it plays out is you won't receive help from people who care about you, right? Because you think, oh, well, no, I didn't earn that, right? But in reality, when you look outside of yourself, what you're actually doing is you're creating frustration for them, for somebody who wants to help you, for somebody who can help you, for somebody who wants to show love to you in this way, right? And you say, well, I'm strong, so I want to be independent. No, thanks. Don't do that. Don't help me with this. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's important, right? It's not black and white, but just be aware of it. Because once we're aware of these things, then they become decisions. They become active choices that we're making. They become paths to freedom, right? Because once we have choices, we have freedom about which one we're going to choose. We have options. So be aware of that. The other thing I'll tell you about helper syndrome is that a lot of times we take care of others, and we don't take care of ourselves, right? We deprioritize our self-care. And this is the pathway to get sick a lot of times. And the way out of that is to actually reprioritize your self-care, which sometimes means you can't help other people for a little while. And that can be kind of tricky for the identity to process, right? It's really hard to admit that sometimes, especially if you're used to being very helpful and taking care of other people, but it's like you have no choice now but to focus on your own self because your energy is tanked, or you've got migraines all the time, or you've got other weird floating pains that are around your body, or your brain fog is so bad that you can't even remember what you promised you were going to do for somebody, or whatever it is, right? You get kind of confronted with that reality, and then you have no choice anymore, and you have to do self-care. Right. But one of the things that I want to talk to you about, and I've mentioned this in other videos, but it's really interesting the way our body's built and how people say, follow your heart. Right. And there's a lot of meanings to that, of course, but I'm going to look at, for fun here, I'm going to look at a very literal meaning of follow your heart. And if you look at the anatomy of the heart, the structure of the heart is pumping out. It takes the blood that's come back from the body, right? In the venous circulation. It's basically blood that has already used up all its energy and everything, right? And it sends that blood to the lungs to go get oxygenated, to go get fresh oxygen. And then that blood comes back to the heart. And now the heart's job is to pump that, right? To pump that out into the body. So it's got this fresh from the lungs, oxygenated blood. It's packed with all the power that the cells in the body need, right? Or what does the heart do? It pumps it out of the heart and it goes to everywhere, all the way to your fingertips and your toes and your hair follicles and all your organs and everything, right? But the first stop, right? The first diversion from where the heart pumps is what they call the coronary arteries. And what that is the heart pumping blood to itself first. Really interesting. When we look at this, fresh blood is coming out and the heart doesn't go, well, I want to take care of everybody else, right? Oh, I'll just, whatever scraps are left, that's the one I'll take. Like, the heart's not martyring itself. It's not suffering for value. The heart is like, hey, I'm the heart. I need to eat or this whole thing shuts down. So I got to take care of me as well. It's not me or you. It's me primarily because your future depends on me working now, right? So the heart pumps its own blood to its own self first. That's the first diversion, the first little off-ramp. And then the rest of it goes arterial and goes to the rest of the body. So I'll leave you with that image, right? Think about that. I keep it printed out. I keep actually an image of the heart, and I look at that, and that reminds me to do things that I need to do for my own self-care in balance so that I can be there for the people that rely on me, right? Whether it's my personal, like my family, or in a professional capacity, like the patients I work with, or the colleagues that I mentor, right? If I don't take care of my own self, I'm not going to show up very well for them. And I know that. And also I've had enough things with my own health that I know not to let myself dip, because I know what happens then too. So I've learned that lesson. I hope this helps you. If you're struggling with a complex chronic health condition, join our group. Don't do this alone. I've got modern vitality solutions and support. It's free to join as a guest. We've got a link in the description below here. And if your application looks really, really good, I'll get you in just as soon as I can. I want to make sure everybody that comes in is a good fit for our culture and for the work we do here, right? We take it in stages. 1, immune system. 2, digestion. 3, neuroadrenal. 4, blood circulation. 5 is any boosting if needed, right? Mitochondria and hormones and things like that. Having a plan helps tremendously. And that's what our group revolves around. We've got international folks from all over the world. Everybody's working through the stages. And you can see, like some of the people I work with, you know, if they're doing great, they'll have wins and you'll see their wins. And if they have a bad day or a flare or a crash, you'll see how we troubleshoot that using the stage model in real time so that they always know what to do next. So even when things get bad, they're not lost. They're not in the abyss, just flailing around. They've got a plan, always, always. So that's a wonderful place to be. And I think you'll learn a lot in there. Of course, you can ask me anything you like, and your application's in the description below. Maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 2 months before you get in. There's a bit of a line, but I'll get you in as soon as I can. In the meantime, consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and doing all those other fun things that train algorithms to show you stuff that actually matters to you. You can use the internet intentionally, right? But you do have to participate. Hope this video helps you. Let's get you feeling better. Cheers.